7, the 6-second landing. The moon had ordinary dust. Cyrus saw it before the landing gear touched. Brown dust in a shallow basin, wind-darkened rock, a low ridge rising to the east. Nothing had been painted over it. Nothing had been arranged to look empty. The ground had small marks where stones had rolled in weather and stopped when they found a place to be. The paper sail came down with too much speed, corrected, came down again, and landed on all 3 struts. The ship settled. Something in the aft hold said, with 400 kilograms of certainty, thud. No voice congratulated them. The emergency broadcaster had exhausted itself into a faint, warm smell. Cindy Lou's pocket of starlight had turned the color of wet sand in the open panel. The alarm lights were out. The fans were merely fans. For a while, nobody moved. Cyrus had both hands on the yoke. It had stopped fighting him. It sat warm under his palms, scratched gray at the grips. In the porthole, the moon sky was a strange violet blue. Not quite night, and not quite anything the port would have approved. 3 moons hung above the ridge, one large and pale, one thin as a clipped nail, and one rusty round dot low enough to seem caught on the rocks. The prince unlatched the rose bell from the bunk. The rose did not speak exactly, but the fan gave a crisp series of taps that expressed several opinions about the landing. The glitch stood with one hand on the hatch wheel. His coat was still open. In the places where he had removed the mirrors, the lining sagged slightly. It made him look less complete and more visible. Cindy Lou stood near the engine hatch. Her wrench hung by her side. "Is it safe?" Cyrus asked. She did not answer right away. He waited. "There is air," she said. "Air remains popular. The pressure is ordinary." "Excellent. I have always preferred an ordinary pressure." "The landing struts are bent. Less excellent. But they are holding." Cyrus took that in. The ship was holding. The ground was holding the ship. The moon had not asked them to complete anything before it did so. The outer hatch stuck, as it always did. Cyrus expected it to make its cupboard sound and require a shoulder. Instead, the glitch turned the wheel and pushed. The door opened easily, not with a grand revelation, only with a small release of old seals. Warm air came in. It smelled of dust, stone, and something green too far away to see. No one moved for a second longer. Then the glitch stepped down the hatch ladder. The dust accepted his boots. He stood at the bottom and did not turn around to make sure the ship was still there. He put one hand on the side of the hull, just below the incomplete blue wave, and looked out across the basin. Cyrus followed. His left boot toe caught on the last rung because it had remained loyal to its character through a plasma storm. He nearly pitched forward, recovered, and stood in the dust with both feet planted. The ground was firm enough to be rude about it. Cindy Lou came down next with the wrench in her back pocket and her packet of spent starlight clipped shut. The prince carried the rose bell in both hands. He came carefully, not because the dust was dangerous, but because the ordinary air outside the glass made every step look newly consequential. They walked a little way from the ship, not far. There was no reason to prove anything. A flat shelf of rock sat near the landing struts. It had been warmed by whatever passed for afternoon on the small moon. Cyrus sat on it. His patched jacket made a dry sound against the stone. Cindy Lou sat 2 feet away, then shifted another 6 inches away, as though the first distance had been poorly engineered. The prince set the bell between them and sat on the other side. The glitch remained standing for a moment, coat gathered around him, then sat at the end of the shelf. Above them, the 3 moons continued their quiet arrangements. Nobody spoke. The first second was easy. They had been silent in the relay after the plug came out. Silence knew them by now. The second was harder. Cyrus became aware of the dust on his sleeve and the little ticking behind his ribs where the storm had left its machinery. The third had room for the paper sail's cooling hull clicking behind them, a sound almost like a person in the next room putting a cup down. The fourth was bad enough that he considered saying something about the landing gear. He had 3 sentences ready. One involved the moon's paperwork. One involved a union for damaged struts. One was very good and should not be used. The 5th passed. Cyrus felt it pass because the port had taught him to feel it. 5 was the point at which a clock somewhere expected people to turn politely away. 5 was where a speaker would clear its agreeable little throat. 5 was where a form would become available for anyone whose presence had accidentally lasted. The 6th second arrived. It sat among them in the warm dust. It was almost unbearable. Not because anything terrible happened, because nothing came to separate them from it. Then it was over. Cyrus looked at Cindy Lou. She was looking straight ahead. Her face had not softened. It was not that kind of face, but her shoulders had come down from their usual careful height. The wrench was still in her pocket. Her hand rested on the rock beside it, open, with dust in the lines of her palm. The prince was looking at the rose bell. The little flower had turned itself toward the open sky as far as the glass allowed. The glitch had his hands folded over the open front of his coat. Nobody said, "There." Nobody said, "We did it." The moon did not issue a certificate. Coyote, who had once been called Cyrus by people who wanted a receipt for a name, leaned back on both elbows and let out the breath he had apparently been holding since the port. It did not make a heroic sound. It was a long, shaky breath with a cough in the middle. "Well," he said. Cindy Lou waited. "That was," Cyrus said, "a perfectly adequate landing. The port strut is bent 14 degrees. Then it is a very expressive landing." The prince's mouth moved. Not quite a smile, not one. The glitch looked at Cyrus. "You directed us into the heavier band." "Yes. That was not correct procedure." "No, it was." Glitch stopped. His gaze went to the basin, then up to the sky. "It was effective." Cyrus nodded once. He did not turn it into a parade. "That will do." Cindy Lou rubbed dust from the heel of her hand. "The field would have kept us alive longer." "Probably," said the glitch, "but not alive enough to land." The prince looked down at the glass bell. "The weather had to feel us." Cyrus considered this. Something like that. The rose tapped a leaf against its bell. You disagree? The prince asked it. The tap came again, sharper. Cindy Lou said, it wants out. The prince's fingers tightened around the bell's latch. It has never had ordinary air. It has been complaining about air for 3 years, Cyrus said. It has been protected. The glitch said nothing. The coat lay open on either side of him. A small mirror at his cuff caught the largest moon and returned it as a bent pale oval. The prince put one thumb on the bell latch. He hesitated. Cyrus knew that hesitation. It was not a question about the latch. It was all the other latches dressed as one. The prince opened it. The bell made a tiny release of pressure. Nothing dramatic happened. Ordinary warm air entered the glass. Dust motes floated through the opening and settled on one red petal. The rose bent toward the air. For a moment it was very still. Then one leaf curled. The prince leaned close. Are you all right? The rose gave a long, distinctly irritated rustle. Cindy Lou nodded. That means yes. That means it finds the conditions unacceptable, said the prince. Still alive, though. The prince looked at the flower. Yes. He left the bell open. The glitch placed both hands inside his coat. The old ledgers shifted against his wrists. The cord in the lining had been quieter since the relay, but it had not gone away. Cyrus could see that in the way the glitch's fingers paused on each seam, as if every page might offer a different objection. Then the glitch pulled the coat wider. The silver mirrors faced the sky. One by one they ceased to catch the light. The largest moon passed behind a thin shred of cloud. The reflections went gray. The rusty little moon lowered behind the ridge. More mirrors went dark. In their dark faces, no one could see himself arranged into pieces. The glitch looked down at them for a long time. Should I remove the rest? He asked. It was not directed at anyone in particular. Cindy Lou considered the question as though it were a load rating. Not if you do not want to. The glitch waited. Also, she added, the missing ones are holding the sail circuit together. Cyrus looked at her. That is almost tender. It is true. I take back nothing. The glitch's mouth did the small, almost movement again. This time it stayed. He closed neither clasp. The sky deepened by degrees. On the far side of the basin, something small moved in the grass that must have been growing there, too quick and ordinary to name. Coyote's ears tipped toward it. Then he lay down on his back in the dust beside the rock shelf, arms out, jacket full of grit, knees bent so his loose boot pointed at the 3 moons. He grinned at the sky. It was a crooked grin. One tooth showed. It had a chip of sorrow in it, a crack where better manners had never set, and the stubborn pleasure of a thing made badly enough to keep going. Ooh-wah, he thought, but did not say. Coyote on a moon, pilot becoming ballast, a ship becoming a mark in weather, a boy with an open bell and a rose who had discovered air was rude. None of it had the decency to settle into a single shape. The prince lay down too, careful not to upset the bell. He held his signal reader over his chest. Its screen was dark. After a while he switched it on, the display filled with old saved frequencies. He looked at them. The columns were still there. The calls had not vanished because he had let them enter the storm. Their numbers had changed, in places, shifted by the weather's answer. Beside each one was a new line the reader had made without asking. Received. The prince stared at that word. Cyrus watched him from the dust. Is it broken? I do not know. Promising. It says they were received. Cindy Lou looked at the reader. They were broadcast from our ship. Yes, that counts. The prince put the reader down on the rock beside the open bell. He did not add anything to the record. He did not delete the line either. The paper sail clicked as she cooled. Her blue wave was scorched near the middle. The dent in her nose had acquired a second, smaller dent, as if it had made a friend. One solar sail hung, slack at the edge, its tape bright against the darkening sky. In the aft hold, the 4 basalt blocks rested against their catches. Their declaration tags had singed at the corners but remained legible. Cindy Lou got up after a while and walked to the hatch. Cyrus expected her to begin listing repairs. She stood under the open door instead, looking at the cabin's little porthole from outside. It had become a square of dim gold. Through it, he could see the switch labels. Sail, not sail, definitely not sail. Ask first. The hatch is open, she said. It is showing off. No, Cindy Lou said. It is open. She left it that way. The glitch rose and went to the ship. For a moment, Cyrus thought he might close the hatch behind Cindy Lou. He only touched the edge of the door, the way he had touched the outer hull when he first stepped down. Then he went inside. The dark coat followed him, unbuttoned and a little uneven where the mirrors were gone. The prince remained on the rock with the rose. Its red head had collected a ring of dust along one petal. He reached to brush it off, then stopped. The rose gave a small rustle, which may have been protest or may have been the evening wind. He let the dust stay. Cindy Lou sat down again. Not 2 feet away this time. Closer than that, though no one counted. Cyrus turned his head. The flat rock was warm against the back of it. Above the ridge, the thin moon slipped behind the large one until both were hidden for a breath, then came out changed only by position. A grain of dust rested on the rose.